We'll be speaking shortly after the Prime Minister has in fact concluded his bilateral engagement with President Joe Biden here in Wilmington in Delaware in the United States. The Prime Minister is in the hometown of the American President. The Quad Summit has also concluded, and so have the Prime Minister's bilateral meetings with his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese and the Japanese Prime Minister Mr. Fumio Kishida. Now, of course, the attention turns to the Prime Minister's engagements in New York. He'll be interacting with members of the Indian diaspora. Almost 24,000 people expected to be present at his Diaspora Connect event in Nassau County, in Long Island, in New York. And thereafter, of course, he'll be meeting CEOs from across industry, entrepreneurs, successful in their own right, to deepen India's business engagements with the United States. We'll wait and see as to what the outcome of those meetings are as well. What's also very important to highlight is that we're in election season here in the United States of America. The Indian diaspora, the Indian community in the United States is almost 4.5 million strong. It's emerged as a very important, influential constituency and a vote bank that neither the Republicans nor the Democrats can ignore. So that's the context in which this visit on the part of the Indian Prime Minister is, of course, also being held, and his interaction with members of the Indian community in Nassau County, in Long Island, in New York. So we'll wait and see as to how that unfolds. There's tremendous anticipation in the build-up to that event, and it's been a very distinguishing feature of the Prime Minister's foreign policy outreach, his engagements with members of the Indian community to each and every country that he's visited during his 10-year-long tenure so far as the Prime Minister.
So let's run you through everything that happened now. PM Modi's day one in the United States was a power-packed one. After receiving a grand welcome from the Indian diaspora upon his arrival in Philadelphia, the PM got down to business. He met US President Joe Biden, who welcomed him to his residence in Wilmington. The two leaders hugged each other, and President Biden was seen holding PM Modi's hands and giving him a tour of his house. The bonhomie between the two was on full display. The informal meeting was followed by a bilateral meeting between the two leaders, after which Biden described the India-US partnership as stronger, closer, and more dynamic than ever. Issuing a statement after the meeting, the Ministry of External Affairs said that discussions were focused on ways to further deepen the India-US bilateral partnership in areas of mutual interest. It also said that the two leaders exchanged views on global and regional issues, including the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. After the Quad meeting in Delaware, PM Modi is heading to New York, where he will address a large community event in Long Island. The next day, that is on September the 23rd, he will speak at the United Nations Summit of the Future before his return to India. His address to the Indian diaspora will take place at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in New York.
Well, the interaction that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will have with members of the Indian American community at Nassau County is significant in more ways than one. It's been a very unique feature of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's diplomacy that he makes it a point to meet members of the Indian diaspora residing in every single country that he's visited since 2014. After all, he set the ball rolling here in the United States, where he met that large Indian American gathering at Madison Square Garden, and he'll be meeting approximately 24,000 members of the Indian American community at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island in New York. What also sets this particular interaction apart is that it's taking place in election season here in the United States of America. The Indian diaspora in the United States, people of Indian origin, number almost 4.5 million in this country, and over a period of time they've acquired a significant amount of influence, and it's an electoral constituency now that neither the Republicans nor the Democrats can afford to ignore in what is building up to be a very interesting election campaign indeed. So all eyes on Nassau County, where the Prime Minister meets members of the Indian community yet again. Well, let's now give you a bit of a perspective on the community event that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be addressing at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island in New York. Around 20,000 people are expected to be in attendance. There are more than 350 volunteers who've contributed towards putting this event together. As many as 40 American states will be represented as part of the audience that will gather for this very important occasion, and as many as 60 buses have been commissioned in different parts of the country to ferry in people to attend this all-important event. There will be 500 artists and performers who will also be taking to the stage in the build-up to that very important speech that the Prime Minister is expected to deliver as part of his address to the Indian American community here.